Hey guys, Jeremy from Environmentarian here. Today we're going to do a little bit about colours and how they relate to branding. Colour shapes your brand more than anything, and it's not just a random choice. You really got to be concise about it because it does have a lot of emotion and a lot of character behind it. So choosing the right colour is important. So let's dive in. So what do colours even mean in branding? Well, here you can see I've got the colour wheel open from Canva, and so we can cruise that colour around and make the background look kind of cool. We can also select different options down here: monochromatic, analogous, and triadic. Wow, look at that. And we can choose different colours that might match up. So really going in there and having a play around with this is quite fun. But without further ado, we should talk about the seriousness of colours. So what do colours even mean? Well, they mean a lot, in fact. So blue, for example, is everywhere. If we look at the different kinds of blues we can get here and think about Facebook, LinkedIn, IBM, PayPal, blue communicates trust, reliability, and professionalism. That's why banks and tech companies lean on it. Red is high energy. Think Coca-Cola, Virgin, YouTube. It grabs attention and sparks emotion. Green is about growth, health, and sustainability. So you see it in logos of Spotify and even our own logo, Environmentarian. And if we go for something more black and white, you can see that that's going to be more sort of luxurious and minimalist or timeless. Think logos like Nike. So what if we think about orange and yellow? They're playful, youthful, full of energy, and feel approachable and fun. Now, the colours you choose aren't arbitrary. They set the tone for your brand before you've even said a single word. So here I brought up the Ooopps website. It's pretty cool. You can press the space bar and cycle around different colours. But let's talk about the psychology of consistency. Here's the catch. Picking a colour isn't enough. You need consistency. Your website blue, your social media blue, and your printed blue should all be exactly the same. Humans pick up on tiny differences. If your shade is just the slightest bit different, your branding will look sloppy. This is where hex codes, RGB, and CMYK values come in. For digital use, hex codes lock in color to one exact tone. For print, you'll need CMYK or Pantone. You can see down here, we've got the different color codes. If we click in, I can cruise around and you can see those numbers changing rapidly as we try to figure out what color we want. Let's go for this red, and that red, fire engine red, is CA0F25, for example. Now, when you are locking in colors for your branding, locking in the codes to a branding board is really important. It just means that you can always reference that branding board and know that you're picking the exact color of weird green that you're after, and it's not going to stray from design to design. So let's start thinking about color palettes, not just color. If we play around here on Ooopps, we see a whole bunch of amazing different color palettes. So let's pause on here for the moment and think about what's the primary color, secondary color, what about some neutral tones and an accent color? So I think perhaps this maroon or murrey is our primary color. The secondary color is this dark cyan, and the accent color could be this yellow. So if we're going to think about neutral tones, this Alice blue is nice and neutral, and it does seem to match quite nicely with this yellow. But if we go up here and select a different yellow, we've got a sort of beige yellow. F9, F6, DC is the hex code in this case, and that could be our neutral tone for this color palette. But let's just press the space bar and see what we come up with again. So there's so many choices with colors, and that's the trick. Locking in colors for your brand is really, really important. Looking at some of the brands that we've worked with, if we look at Hempscape, the choice was for mandarin orange and this heritage green, which works quite well with the black and white palette. So as we cruise around, we can see that the colors are really being locked in for this brand, and you can see that on the logo, in the header and footer, and around the website, and things like the buttons. If we look at Studio Dennis, they already had their midnight blue and white with their signature font, and so we worked with the colors of their art and looked into the fact that there's a lot of this sort of millennial pink And so that ended up being part of the colours that came into the website. And the dark blue and the light blue sort of goes quite well together with this match of pink. Now again, I'm not a graphic designer, but this is the colours that we locked in on a branding board so that we were going to be consistent throughout the branding process. If we look at the hemp building directory, we went for these really neutral browns. We wanted to keep it earthy and natural, but also sort of modern looking. So these browns really helped us get to that point. Now, a good color palette keeps your brand fresh without losing recognition, and sticking to these colors is really important. Heading back over to our color wheel, let's talk about some common mistakes in color. Now, as I move this color wheel around, we've really got quite lucky here because we can see how the different colors are matching up. And we can grab these different tones here and find out how they're going to work with the white and the black. And if we look at our palette selector on colors and just flick through a couple of different colors, we can see how some work and some don't. Now, poor contrast and trend tracing can really get you. If you have a light text on a dark background, then that's fine, but a light text on a light background will be tricky. And that gradient that might have looked cool on Canva in 2021 has soon lost its appeal. Instead, I would suggest you build around colors that are timeless and reflect your brand's personality and emotions. So again, not being a graphic designer, I just put together these branding boards which help my clients lock in their colors. So once we've got these colors locked in, then we can apply them to the website. So if we look at the Hemp Straight branding board here, we've used those same colors here on the website. And if we look at the Studio Dentist branding board, we can see we've used these same colors on the website. Let's use another example here and bring up Vita Hemp, which is something I just worked on with a client recently. And so they wanted the dark purple, and we matched that with this orange and stuck with the original logo that was just tweaked for a sort of crisper, iconic look. So if we head back over to these branding boards, then we can see we've got all the different codes here. For example, if we're going to use this orange for ABW display, we know we're going to use this exact orange with this code and not a subtle shade that might offset the branding impression for his clients. Well, that wraps up this little bit on branding and colors. And so we've got the colors going on in the background, and you can see how there's different emotions coming on, and the colors that are conveyed by your logo or your brand are really important. Now again, I'm not a graphic designer. I do a little bit of tinkering, but I do work with brands and businesses and graphic designers and pull together the different parts to sort of hopefully get a amazing logo that will suit your brand with the right colors moving forward. So those colors are, on the logo, in a branding palette, on a branding board, and then applied to the website, printed material, and wherever else. So here we are on the Environmentarian.au website. If we cruise down, you can see our different deals, our different services, and you can click through to these different sections and maybe even book a session. Now, if we have a look at the services, we do have a lot of client resources, so feel free to have a look there and have a click around. There's lots to read, and it'll help you get a start on your business, depending on where you're at the beginning or in the middle. And then if you did want to go ahead and book a chat, then hit the book a chat button. That brings you over to this page here, and you can go ahead and book a chat. There's different versions depending on how long you want to meet for. We can do it online or in person here at the Impact Story Lab. We can book this room or one of the other meeting rooms. And if you're not sure and not ready to go ahead with the paid version, of course, we offer the 15-minute or 30-minute free check-in. That'll give us a chance to sort of get to understand your business, build some rapport, and see if we're going to be a good fit to work together on branding, websites, content, or something else along the business and systems sort of track. So I look forward to hearing from you soon. So feel free to pop a comment just down below, or of course hit a like and subscribe on this new Environmentarian channel, which has a bit of a different focus to my other YouTube channels. But here it's a way for me to help people with a bit of the bits and pieces they might need. to understand their business and the next steps to take. And I look forward to potentially maybe even taking some of those steps with you. So feel free to reach out and book now.